and welcome back to Shrewsbury Soccer Trading Podcast, or we can just start calling it Coach Ryan Podcast. Why not, right? Either way, one and the same. Today we're going to be talking about coaching and how you take on a new team that you have no idea about how to work with. You don't know their skill level, their knowledge level, who they've been with, who they've played. They're new. You don't know anything about them. So what do? It can be pretty daunting, right? You can get pretty scared about, what do you need to do to prepare for your first practice? I always tell people, if you're going to prepare for a first practice and you don't know what to do, go to the basics. Passes, dribbling, communication, do they even know each other's names? Things like this are very, very important. So you need to make sure that you start to engage them in a way that they feel comfortable and safe with you. Because a player that is scared of you, or a player that doesn't feel like you're approachable, isn't going to really trust you and enjoy the time there, and they won't learn a lot if they feel like they're being threatened. And you might be thinking, how could I make them feel threatened? Well, what am I doing that could cause this? You're an adult that they don't know. And what is the first thing we tell our kids when we're growing up, or when they're grown up? Don't talk to strangers. And yet, this is exactly what these kids have to do. You throw them into the mix, you're a stranger, and everything that they've been taught is telling them, this guy could be stranger danger, we don't know them. Mom and dad aren't here. COVID has prevented parents from coming onto the field and, making the kids feel safe, which is good in a way because it allows the coach to connect with the players, but then you have to think, stranger danger. This is in the player's mind. What do I do to get past this so that they feel comfortable and they understand that I'm not a stranger danger, that I am a coach and I'm here to help you. All right. It's difficult, but you have to keep a positive mind. You can't go out there thinking, I coached this one team, they're Division 1, we were exceptionally good, all of these levels, everything that we've attained, and I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to apply it to you. You're new, but I expect you to do everything. You cannot do that. You have to start clean and you have to start from scratch. And even though sometimes it feels condescending and rude and bad, you have to approach it as if they know nothing about the sport. Because if you go out there and expect them to know everything, you might realize that not every coach has taught in the way that you have. So like with me, I need to basically analyze these things, and these are the things I look for. I look for touch. I look for proficiency with both right and left feet. Right now I'm coaching a younger team, and when I say right or left foot, sometimes they'll ask me which is my right, which is my left. Guys, that's fine. That's normal. They're little kids. You have to get past that. When they get older, it'll be not right or left, but it'll be, step, drop, man on, pressure, offsides, these certain things where they just won't know what these terms are. And that is just the beauty of being a coach, is that you have to find these lack of communication and fix them, because you're a teacher. You go out there, and as a head coach, you have to be able to teach your players. And if you are not able to do that, you're going to have a very hard time connecting with new teams or new players on the team. So, be respectful of their knowledge and what they've been taught, because sometimes you don't know what you haven't been told, and you have to remember that. Now, the other thing that I look for is, how well do they understand the game? Like, what kind of structure have they worked with? Have they worked with a structure that actually encompasses the entire, the field? Do they understand spread? Do they understand collapse? Do they understand communication? Check to, check away. Basically, these things to create space. And in order to play the sport proficiently and to be successful, you have to understand the execution to space, the creation and shutdown of it as well. So checking away creates space, checking to creates opportunity. Calling for ball is one way to get someone's attention. Calling someone's name is how you get that specific person's attention without drawing too much attention from the opposing players. All these things you have to go over, all of them. And I actually recommend doing this even if it's like with little 8 or 9 year olds or 9 or 10 year olds. Even with them, you need to start talking about this, saying these words and repeating them over and over. Even if you feel like it's very advanced, you'd be surprised at how quickly a young player catches on, it's absolutely phenomenal how well they catch on and how quick. Now let me tell you, some of these kids catch on like that. It's just with a snap of the finger, they get it and they go on. And you're just left there baffled like, holy crap. How does this kid understand what I just said when I can talk to a teenager and it just goes right over their heads? It happens a lot. It's amazing. My 5-year-old daughter catches on to things that I didn't even think she would understand, but she gets it, and then she starts telling other people, and they're just like dumbfounded, like, what in the world just happened? This kid just schooled me, and they're 5 years old. Don't think because they're 8 or 9 years old or 9 or 10 years old that they are not capable of understanding certain things, because let me tell you, I've enjoyed working with little kids a lot more sometimes than working with older kids. But it's all about finding that level of understanding and then finding that level of not understanding and trying to inch your way up. There's a thing in college that I learned that was talking about levels of acceptance, levels of rejection. And you have to find the gray area in between the two so that you can start inching away at the gray area while pushing the disagreements or the unacceptance or the unobtainable away. You want to keep pushing that away as you keep chipping away at what they know, what they understand, what they accept, and just really eating away at that so that they stay with you and they believe you and they trust you, because trust is what makes a coach successful. If the players trust the coach and the coach trusts the players, the success will come. It just has to take some time and sometimes a little more patience than usual. That's just the way it is. Now, the other thing that I'm looking for is, how well do they communicate on the field? Now, communication is key, because if you're not on the field talking, you're going to have a difficult time of knowing man on, I'm open, or ball, through ball, these things. I need to find out, where are my quiet players, where are my vocal players, and where are the players that shut down and get upset and vocalize that, or where are the players that get upset and shut down and say nothing, because they're all in the same, they all have their negative impacts, and you have to be able to transition them into understanding that failure is a part of the game and that we need to learn from it. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes people tell you failure's bad. If you fail, you suck. I hate that mentality. In everything that you do, whether it's big or small, medium or impactful, it doesn't matter. Everything has failure implemented into it. If you do not fail, you will not grow. That is just the fact of life. People who are afraid to fail are typically the ones that stay within that little area that they're safe with. They don't go outside their bubble. They don't want to take on new challenges. They don't want to improve or alter what they're doing now because they're comfortable with it. And sometimes it's like that imagery where you've got the guy doing the pickaxe, and the first guy's moving towards this giant payload, tons of gold, diamonds and money. He keeps going, he keeps going, he keeps going. He's like, I can't keep going. It's never ending. And there's like a very small sliver of dirt between him and success. But he just gives up right at the end because he found that failure constantly was just too much and gave up and went back. And then you got the second guy who just keeps going and keeps going, just keeps picking away at the dirt, never stopping, just keeps on plowing through, and then finally hits payday. That is what life is about. From work to sports to coaching. Failure, success, failure, success. Failure comes and goes. Success stays forever. Unless you decide to let failure show back up and consume you. Don't let that happen. Keep going. Because you're going to win games, you're going to lose games. Even if you have a perfect record next year, you could still lose every game. So don't be too discouraged. Now, that's the biggest thing that I have to tell new coaches to teams. You're going to fail because these players are not going to trust you right off the bat. Honestly, you cannot let that bother you. If you let that bother you, you're failing and you're not succeeding. You just have to find a new way of communicating what you want to say to these players. And it's difficult. It really is. And sometimes it's, you'll have a practice where they just will not listen, period. And that could go for an entire practice. Then you have to take that practice, sit down and realize, well, I did this and they did not like this, or I did this and they just didn't understand and they just shut down. That was the end of it. No more, no less. Well, don't do that again. Or find a new way to approach that subject in a way that they feel like it's understandable, relatable, and they trust it. If you can't find the trust in it, then life is going to be pretty difficult. Because if you have an entire season like that, sometimes you will have an entire season. So nothing you do will work. But do not give up. That's the key. Giving up is the real failure. Because if you just keep, but you got to find a way to fix it, right? Even if you do go to one practice and nothing worked, go to another practice, nothing worked, you have to sit down and ask yourself, am I really sitting down looking at what's causing this? Or am I trying to even find out what it is? Or am I just doing whatever I want to do? And if they don't like it, well then tough crap for them because I don't care. That's what causes repeat failures, is that kind of mentality. It's like, we are going to do what I want to do. If you don't like it, then that's just too bad. That's not the good mentality for a team sport. You have to find common ground, and once you find the common ground, you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish. Sometimes you have an agenda, but you have to take detours to do them, or altercations, or something to change so that those players understand you. And that's, like I said, for some coaches that's very difficult to do. Some coaches it's very easy to do, but every single coach needs to be able to do that. And I don't care at what level you're coaching, Division 1, Division 2 or 3, the professionals, it doesn't matter. If you're a coach and you cannot find ways to connect with your players, it doesn't matter how successful you've been in the past. You're going to be failing constantly until you find that common ground with your players. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, I try that and it still doesn't work. But are you really trying to find those shortcomings? It could be something as the smallest thing possible that you never would have considered, and then it's just because that one little thing that's throwing you off. And it could be you say something that they don't understand or they don't agree with. Like for me, like with my TikTok, I'll say soccer, and that shuts down a lot of Europeans just because I call it that. I could be spitting facts like crazy, talking about space, talking about execution, about taking a shot, doing a simple pass, but because I call it soccer, they don't respect me, and therefore they don't listen to me, and they just want to attack instead of listen. One term is all it takes, and remember that it's just one little thing that can set them off. And it sounds pretty annoying, right? It's like, wow, really? That's just the way things are. So I hope this helps. If you do have any questions, you can always reach out to me at shrewsburysoccer1@gmail.com. You can follow me at TikTok at coach.ryan. That's R-Y-A-N, coach.ryan. You can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram. It's facebook.com or instagram.com/shrewsburysoccer. Pretty simple, right? Or you can visit my website at shrewsburysoccer.com. And I'm more than happy to help players and coaches and parents alike. And I really hope that these podcasts help. Really hope that these YouTube videos help wherever you're listening. If you have questions or you would like to hear a topic covered on the podcast, please be sure to send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to cover it, because that's what I do this for. This is why I have all of these social media platforms, is to help players, parents, and coaches understand the sport. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, and have a great and safe Monday. I will try to do this more often because I got a new microphone. Thank you so much.